Hey everybody, I'm your name here. Welcome to the show. Listen, you know I love to travel, Mexico, Italy, Vegas, I've been all over. But you know what I don't love? All the little things that can go wrong when you're on a trip. I'm talking about the kind of stuff that makes you want to scream into a pillow, or punch an airline executive. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're stuck at the airport, your flight is delayed, and your luggage is lost somewhere over the Atlantic. It's enough to make you want to swear off travel forever. But hey, misery loves company, right? So today we're going to laugh at the pain of others as we count down 9 of the most insane travel nightmares of all time. Buckle up, because this is going to be good. Let's start with everyone's favorite travel nightmare: lost luggage. We've all been there, right? You get off a 12-hour flight, your back hurts, your feet hurt, and you just want to get to your hotel room and crack open a beer. But then you get to baggage claim and nothing. Your bag is gone, vanished, flown away to a tropical island without you, and the worst part is, the airlines don't even seem to care. They just shrug their shoulders and hand you a form to fill out, like it's no big deal. Like losing your luggage is just a normal part of the travel experience. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not. I remember this one time I was flying back from Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, they say. Not this time. This time what happened in Vegas followed me all the way home, in the form of a lost suitcase. So, I'm standing there at baggage claim, watching the carousel go round and round, and my suitcase is nowhere to be found. And the longer I waited, the more I started to panic. I mean, what if my suitcase was gone forever? What if it was on a one-way trip to Siberia? Anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up having to fill out one of those lost luggage forms. And you know what? I never saw my suitcase again. Okay, so let's say your luggage magically makes it onto the plane with you. You're home free, right? Not so fast, my friend. Because now you've got to deal with the dreaded delayed flight. We've all been there, right? You're sitting in the terminal staring at the departure board, watching as your flight time gets pushed back further and further. And further. And further. It's like watching a countdown clock to your own personal hell. First it's delayed by 30 minutes. No big deal, right? You can handle that. You'll just grab a magazine and... oh, now it's delayed an hour? Okay, well, there goes your connection. Time to call the airline and try to reschedule. But of course the airline's phone lines are jammed with other passengers who are also having flight delays. So now you're stuck on hold, listening to that awful elevator music, for the next 6 hours. Airports are basically just giant shopping malls with airplanes attached. Alright, so you've made it through the gauntlet of lost luggage and delayed flights. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. You're practically a travel expert at this point. But just when you think you're in the clear, you get hit with the mother of all travel nightmares, the overbooked flight. For those of you lucky enough to have never experienced this particular joy, let me explain how it works. Airlines, in their infinite wisdom, often sell more tickets than there are seats on the plane. Why? Because they know that not everyone who books a flight actually shows up. Now this might sound like a good idea in theory, but in practice it's a recipe for disaster. Because inevitably, there's always that one flight where everyone decides to show up, and when that happens, it's like a game of musical chairs, except instead of chairs, there are seats on a plane, and instead of losing, you get stranded at the airport. I've seen it all when it comes to overbooked flights. I've seen people offer bribes to get on the plane. I've seen people try to sneak onto the plane disguised as flight attendants. I've even seen people straight up lose their minds and start yelling at the gate agents like they personally overbooked the flight. One time I was flying from Chicago to Denver for a friend's wedding. I get to the gate and it's absolute chaos. There are people everywhere and they all seem to be arguing with each other. I ask a fellow passenger what's going on, and he tells me the flight is overbooked. By a lot. They're offering vouchers for people to take a later flight, but nobody wants to give up their seat. Okay, so we've talked about lost luggage, delayed flights, and overbooked flights. But trust me, the horrors of air travel don't end there, because now it's time to talk about baggage mishaps. And let me tell you, these aren't your average, run-of-the-mill baggage mishaps. These are the kind of mishaps that make you question the very fabric of reality. Like the time a baggage handler accidentally sent a woman's suitcase on a 2-week vacation to the Bahamas, without her. Or how about the time a man's prosthetic leg was accidentally shipped to, wait for it, a sausage factory. But my all-time favorite baggage mishap story has got to be the one about the woman who accidentally checked her dog onto the plane. So, the next time you're packing for a trip, do yourself a favor and double-check your luggage. Speaking of animals causing chaos during travel, let's move on to some of the wildest animal escapades in transportation history. Because, let's be honest, animals are unpredictable at the best of times. But put them in a confined, stressful environment like an airplane or a train and it's a recipe for disaster. Take for example the time a monkey escaped from its cage on a flight from Dubai to Islamabad. Now monkeys are curious creatures by nature and this little guy was no exception. He apparently decided to go on a little adventure, swinging from the overhead compartments, stealing snacks from passengers, and generally causing mayhem. The flight attendants tried to catch him but he was too quick for them. They ended up having to call in a wildlife expert to wrangle the little guy, and you know what they used to catch him? A banana. But monkeys aren't the only animals that like to cause trouble on planes. Oh no, we've also got snakes, birds, and even the occasional kangaroo. So the next time you're on a flight and you hear a strange noise it's probably just a baby crying. But it also might be a python. Now let's talk about the main reason why I avoid flying commercial whenever possible: people. Specifically, passengers exhibiting unusual behavior, because let's be real folks, airports and airplanes bring out the weird in people. It's like the rules of normal society don't apply once you step foot in an airport terminal. We've all seen them, the people who wear pajamas to the airport, the ones who blast their music without headphones, the ones who bring their emotional support peacocks on board. Yes, that really happened. And don't even get me started on the people who clip their toenails on the plane. Seriously, what is wrong with people? It's like they think they're in their living rooms, not hurtling through the air at 30,000 feet. So the next time you're on a plane and you think you're surrounded by crazy people, just remember, it could always be worse. You could be sitting next to a naked guy. Okay, so let's say you've managed to avoid all of the previous travel nightmares. You've got your luggage, your flight is on time, and you haven't seen a single toenail clipper in sight. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. But then, just when you think you're home free, you get hit with the mother of all travel disruptions, the transportation strike. Now, I'm all for workers' rights, don't get me wrong. But there's a special place in my heart. A cold, dark place. Reserved for transportation strikes. Because let's be honest, nobody wins in a transportation strike. The workers don't get what they want, the travelers are stranded, and the rest of us are just stuck dealing with the fallout. I remember this one time I was supposed to fly to London for a week-long vacation, but a few days before my trip, the air traffic controllers decided to go on strike. And not just any strike, a massive nationwide strike that brought air travel to a screeching halt. So, we've talked about lost luggage, delayed flights, overbooked flights, baggage mishaps, animal escapades, unusual passenger behavior, and transportation strikes. But wait, there's more. Because now, it's time to talk about the one thing that can ruin even the most carefully planned trip: the weather. Now, I'm not a meteorologist, but I'm pretty sure Mother Nature has it out for travelers. I mean, think about it. How often have you planned a trip only to have it rained out, snowed out, or blown away by a hurricane? It's like she's deliberately trying to mess with us. And the worst part is, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. I remember this one time I was flying from Los Angeles to Las Vegas for a weekend getaway. It was a beautiful day in LA, sunny, warm, not a cloud in the sky. But as we were flying over the Mojave Desert, the pilot came on the intercom and announced that we were being diverted to Phoenix. Apparently there was a dust storm in Las Vegas and it was too dangerous to land. So the next time you're planning a trip, do yourself a favor and pack an umbrella, and a raincoat, and maybe a snowsuit just in case. And finally, no list of travel nightmares would be complete without mentioning unexpected detours. Because let's be honest, detours are the worst. They're like the unwanted house guests of the travel world. They show up unannounced, they overstay their welcome, and they always seem to involve lukewarm coffee and uncomfortable sleeping arrangements. I remember this one time I was driving from Los Angeles to San Francisco. It was supposed to be a beautiful, scenic drive up the Pacific Coast Highway. You know, the kind of drive they show in car commercials. Winding roads, ocean views, the wind in your hair. But as I was driving I noticed a sign that said, "Road closed ahead." Road closed? What do you mean road closed? This is the Pacific Coast Highway. They can't just close the Pacific Coast Highway. But alas, they did. There had been a landslide and the road was completely blocked. I had two choices: turn around and go back the way I came, or take a detour that would add an extra 3 hours to my trip. So the next time you're on a trip and you hit an unexpected detour, Just remember, it's all part of the adventure. So, there you have it. 9 of the most insane travel nightmares of all time. I hope you enjoyed laughing at my pain. Learning about the perils of travel. But hey, even though travel can be unpredictable, stressful, and occasionally terrifying, it's also amazing. It allows us to see the world, experience new cultures, and create memories that will last a lifetime. So don't let a few lost bags or delayed flights scare you away from exploring everything our planet has to offer. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting stories. And if you have any travel nightmare stories of your own, share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them.